Hello, I'm Hope Logan. I am an actor on Bold and the Beautiful, and many people really love both me and our Bold and the Beautiful drama. So I've come here to share updates about my beloved Bold and the Beautiful. Everyone, please subscribe and support me. If you do, I will keep coming every day with new updates for you. At Forrester Creations, tension begins to quietly build beneath the surface of glamour and prestige as financial concerns start creeping into conversations that once revolved only around creativity and legacy. Ridge Forrester is seen justifying the enormous cost of the upcoming couture line while speaking with Carter Walton, brushing aside hesitation with pride in what they believe will be a defining artistic statement. Yet even in those confident words, there is an undercurrent of risk, because Carter is already aware that the numbers behind this project are far heavier than anyone wants to openly admit. Across town, the contrast becomes even sharper at Logan, where Bill Spencer is focused not just on elegance or ambition, but on balance, carefully weighing quality materials against the hard reality of profit margins. In this quiet divide, two different philosophies of fashion and business begin to collide, setting the stage for a storm that neither side fully seems ready to face. The air feels charged, as if both houses are unknowingly stepping toward a financial crossroads that could redefine everything. The warning finally becomes explicit when Carter Walton raises serious concerns directly to Ridge and Eric Forrester, revealing that the upcoming couture line may become the most expensive collection in the entire history of Forrester Creations. Ridge dismisses the concern with conviction, insisting that you cannot assign a price tag to Eric's genius, as if artistic brilliance alone can justify unlimited spending. But beneath that confidence lies a familiar pattern that has been building for some time, one that traces back to Eric's earlier creative chapter while working alongside Bill and Katie Logan. At that time, Bill pushed for luxurious yet cost-efficient materials, while Eric resisted constraints, frustrated that creative limitations were being imposed on his vision. Despite those tensions, Eric's designs at Logan ultimately became a massive success, selling beyond expectations and proving that innovation paired with strategy can be financially powerful. Now, however, Ridge and Eric seem determined to pour even more resources into this new Forrester collection, almost as if trying to outshine that past success at any cost, even if it means burning through the company's financial stability in the process. But behind the glamour of ambition lies a more complicated emotional truth, especially for Eric Forrester, whose journey into this collection is shaped by pride, frustration, and lingering emotional weight. After being fired from his own company by Ridge and later experiencing a reversal of that decision, Eric's sense of belonging and confidence was deeply shaken, even if it was never fully spoken aloud. His time at Logan had been fueled by a different emotional fire, both passion and resentment, where he poured himself into his designs with intense energy, even claiming they represented the best work of his entire career. That period eventually pushed him to exhaustion, leading to a collapse that revealed just how far he had gone in pursuit of creative validation. Now, at Forrester Creations, the atmosphere feels different, heavier, more pressured, and less freely inspired, as if every design is being measured against expectations rather than born from pure creativity. Ridge's desire to outdo Eric's Logan-era success adds another invisible layer of pressure, turning what should be artistic expression into a silent competition with emotional consequences. Even though no one openly says it, Eric's work on this collection feels shaped as much by guilt and unresolved tension as by inspiration. Meanwhile, at Logan, the tone is noticeably more grounded, even if ambition still runs deep beneath the surface. Hope Logan finds herself wavering over her new fashion line, caught between professional ambition and personal guilt, especially as she anticipates how her mother, Brooke Logan, might react. Yet the business itself continues moving forward with a steadier, more cost-conscious rhythm, largely shaped by Bill Spencer's pragmatic approach and his insistence that creativity must still make financial sense. Even when Deacon Sharp presents a new design, the focus quickly shifts not just to its beauty, but to whether it can be produced efficiently and profitably, a question Bill does not hesitate to ask. The presence of collaboration between Hope and Deke Sharp hints at a rising creative wave within Logan that feels both fresh and commercially aware, suggesting potential success on the horizon. As Brooke prepares to confront Katie Logan's fashion venture, Hope remains hidden in the background, signaling internal conflict rather than retreat. And as both companies move forward, the contrast becomes clearer. Logan appears to be balancing vision with sustainability, while Forrester Creations risks letting pride and pressure outweigh financial caution. All of this builds toward an uneasy forecast where outcomes feel uncertain but emotionally charged, as both houses unknowingly edge toward consequences shaped by their choices. The new Hope Logan line is positioned as a potential breakout success, while Eric's couture collection at Forrester Creations may struggle to meet the enormous financial expectations placed upon it. If that imbalance plays out, Carter Walton may be forced to deliver difficult truths about losses or underperformance, while Ridge Forrester is left to confront the reality behind his confidence. At the same time, Bill Spencer would likely watch such a situation unfold with quiet satisfaction, especially if Forrester Creations begins to feel the financial strain he has been anticipating. The growing talk of bottom lines, risk, and sustainability across both companies feels less like coincidence and more like foreshadowing of a major shift in power. And in that looming uncertainty, one thing becomes clear. Ambition alone may not be enough to protect legacy, and the coming fallout could reshape everything both families believe about success, and control over their own creative empires. As the pressure continues to mount behind the polished doors of Forrester Creations, the atmosphere shifts from confident ambition to a quieter, more uneasy anticipation. The couture line that once felt like a bold statement of legacy now begins to look like a high-stakes gamble hanging in the balance. Every decision made earlier, every extra expense justified in the name of artistic brilliance, now feels heavier as Carter Walton is forced to monitor the financial reality with growing concern. The optimism that Ridge Forrester projected so firmly starts to meet resistance from numbers that refuse to bend to pride or tradition. And in the background, Eric Forrester remains emotionally tied to the collection, unaware of just how sharply the outcome may turn once the final figures are revealed. What once felt like a celebration of creative dominance is slowly transforming into a quiet test of endurance, where reputation and finances are both on the line. At Logan, the energy moves in a very different direction, shaped by cautious confidence rather than unchecked ambition. Bill Spencer continues to keep a close eye on production costs and profit expectations, ensuring that even the most elegant designs remain grounded in financial reality. The collaboration between Hope Logan and Deke Sharp quietly gains momentum, carrying with it a sense of potential that feels both modern and commercially promising. There is a growing belief that this line could outperform expectations, not because it ignores luxury, but because it understands sustainability in a way that contrasts sharply with Forrester's current approach. Yet, even as progress builds, tension still lingers in the form of family conflict, especially with Brooke Logan preparing to challenge Katie Logan over the direction of her new venture. Hope's decision to remain involved, despite emotional hesitation, signals that she is not stepping away from Logan's future. She is quietly helping shape it from within. As both companies move closer to their respective launches, the divide between pride-driven creativity and financially disciplined strategy becomes more pronounced. Ridge's determination to prove Forrester Creations' superiority begins to resemble a personal mission rather than a purely business decision, while Carter's warnings echo with increasing urgency in the background. If the couture collection fails to perform at the level expected, the consequences will not simply be artistic disappointment. They could become a full-scale financial setback that forces uncomfortable accountability. In that scenario, blame would inevitably begin to surface, with Katie Logan likely becoming a target of resentment from those already skeptical of Logan's influence despite her efforts to build something stable and successful. The pattern of accusation and defensiveness threatens to repeat itself, reinforcing old rivalries that never fully disappear, only wait for moments of weakness to resurface. And looming over it all is the question of who will ultimately come out ahead when the numbers finally settle and the results are undeniable. If Logan's line succeeds while Forrester's couture collection underperforms, the shift in power would be more than symbolic. It would be deeply personal, reshaping pride, alliances, and long-held assumptions about creative dominance. Bill Spencer, watching from a distance, would likely take satisfaction in seeing financial discipline validated over unchecked ambition, especially if Ridge is forced to confront a rare moment of vulnerability. At the same time, any misstep at Forrester Creations would not just be a professional setback, but an emotional blow to a family built on legacy and reputation. As the tension tightens further, it becomes clear that this is no longer just about fashion or design. It is about control, validation, and the fragile balance between artistic vision and financial survival. As launch day draws nearer, the tension inside Forrester Creations becomes almost tangible, settling into every hallway and design room like an unspoken warning. What once felt like an unstoppable couture masterpiece now carries the weight of expectation so heavy that even confident voices begin to soften when discussing it. Carter Walton finds himself double-checking projections and costs more frequently, each new calculation tightening the knot of concern in his expression. Ridge Forrester remains outwardly firm, still defending the collection with unwavering pride, but even he cannot fully ignore the subtle shift in tone around him. The emotional investment from Eric Forrester only deepens the stakes further as his belief in the line makes the possibility of failure feel even more personal. And beneath all of it, there is a growing awareness that this is no longer just about artistic triumph. It is about whether Forrester Creations can justify the enormous financial risk they have chosen to embrace. Across town at Logan, momentum builds in a way that feels more controlled but no less powerful as creativity and business awareness continue to move in sync. Hope Logan continues shaping her collaboration with Deke Sharp, and despite emotional hesitation, her focus gradually sharpens as she begins to see the potential impact of the collection. Bill Spencer remains firmly anchored in his financial approach, ensuring that enthusiasm never overshadows practicality and that every creative decision is still connected to profitability. Even when excitement rises, he maintains a steady reminder that success is measured not only in admiration, but in numbers that sustain the business long term. Meanwhile, tension between families continues to simmer beneath the surface as Brooke Logan edges closer to confronting Katie Logan, bringing old wounds and professional disagreements back into the spotlight. Yet despite the conflict, Logan's direction feels increasingly cohesive, as if the company is quietly aligning itself for a moment of breakthrough. As both companies inch toward release, the contrast between them becomes sharper and more symbolic, almost like two competing philosophies of success standing side by side. Forrester Creations is driven by legacy, pride, and the belief that artistic greatness justifies any cost, while Logan is shaped by adaptation, balance, and the understanding that creativity must survive in a competitive market. Carter's earlier warnings now echo more loudly as the possibility of underperformance at Forrester becomes harder to dismiss with optimism alone. If the couture collection fails to meet expectations, the fallout could ripple far beyond finances, shaking confidence within the company and forcing uncomfortable conversations that no one is eager to have. And in that same moment, Logan's more disciplined approach could suddenly look not only safer, but smarter, shifting perceptions that have long favored tradition over transformation. And waiting quietly on the edge of all this tension is the inevitable moment of truth, when projections meet reality and speculation gives way to results. If Logan's line succeeds as anticipated, it will reinforce Bill Spencer's belief in controlled ambition, while potentially exposing cracks in Forrester's more emotionally driven strategy. Katie Logan may find herself pulled into the center of blame or praise depending on how events unfold, even though the outcome is shaped by far more than any single decision. The same could be said for Ridge Forrester, whose confidence has carried the couture project forward, but may also amplify the consequences if it falls short. As the story moves toward its breaking point, the sense grows stronger that this is not just a business rivalry, it is a turning moment where pride, legacy, and financial reality are all set on a collision course that will leave no one untouched.